The third generation Mercedes A Class was hugely successful in the UK. It was so popular, in fact, in its final year of production in 2017, or full year, they sold 43,000 models. So what makes this such a popular car? Well, as you can see, we've got one here, so let's find out. Now, in my opinion, the main reason this car was so popular is because of how it looks. So this sort of manages to blend sophisticated and sort of sleek styling with sporty and aggressive styling. How did you describe it?
Edgy.
Edgy, you said beastly, didn't you?
Beastly, yeah.
Beastly. Now these looks are something that the sort of first and second generation A-Class could only dream of. They had all the grace and curb appeal of Jeremy Clarkson in a silk 90. This one's a pre-facelift. Don't think that really matters, they look nice either way. And as you can tell by the wheels, this one's got some AMG bits on it, which is namely wheels. I think it's also got bumpers and it's probably also got tints. As you come around the back, the sloping roofline gives the game away straight away. This isn't the hatchback version. This is in fact a CLA, or in other words, a saloon. You could get a shooting brake sort of estate, but that's even rarer. As you'd expect with a saloon, the boot isn't massive. But as long as you're realistic, you can get plenty of stuff in here. It's just this opening sort of makes it a bit awkward. I think one thing we can say about the third generation A-Class with some certainty is that it's a car people wanted to be seen in. So with that being said, let's have a look at the interior. So the first impression I get when I get in this car is that you feel fairly sort of claustrophobic. Now that might just be me, but this roof feels a little bit low, probably not helped by the panoramic roof. This feels quite high, and that sort of, there just doesn't seem to be a massive amount of space. But the flip side of that is you do feel like you're in something sporty, and I know for a lot of people that's quite important. Sporty feeling sort of enhanced by this aluminium. You've got a nice flat bottom steering wheel and some nice dials. You've also got a fair few toys in here, so you've got the sort of standard interface down here which controls the screen up here. Actually, that's a lie, that screen is controlled by this. Now I've got to give this some sort of slack because it is an older system, but I don't think it's all that user friendly compared to the most modern systems. One thing in this interior that the owner is very fond of is this Harman Kardon sound system. I know that she was particularly keen to get that on a car. Let's have a quick look in the back. As I've just experienced, it's not that easy to get into the back of the CLA. As you can probably see, this sloping roofline, although it looks good, does mean getting in and out is fairly difficult. This is in my driving position and I can't really put my head up because it's hitting the ceiling. But who sits in the back really? As long as you've got space in the front, that's all that matters. I really can't get out of this. Right, so straight away then now, she's already briefed me that she doesn't know anything about the car, so this could be interesting. Why did you buy a Mercedes A Class?
Because
You thought it was a C Class?
yeah. Right, so just how it looked basically. So I had a BMW before.
An Alpine, wasn't it?
It was an Alpina, yeah. And I'd had a BMW before that Alpina as well, a 5 Series M Sport. But I just found them a bit basic on the inside, and the spec on the inside, and not many changes to the exterior over time, and it just all felt a bit samey really, and Audi felt a bit samey to it as well, and I think Mercedes were just bringing out a lot more funky styles, I suppose, so
that's fair enough.
that was it.
So what is your favourite thing about this car? Because I know there's something on the interior you're particularly fond of.
Yes, the stereo, the surround sound.
Yes, so that leads me on to another question. When you were buying it, was there anything in particular you were after, so the colour, or was it just you wanted sound?
All of it really. I think it just hangs together really well, so I quite like a gritty looking car, if you will. So
a what? A gritty
looking
and
car.
what does
I think
that
it's quite
what does that mean?
Looking. Like, it looks a bit mean, doesn't it? It's a little bit mean.
Okay,
So-
fair enough.
So within the parameters, I were restricted when I was buying my car, because I had to buy it under a policy for like CO2 emissions and whatnot.
Right.
So I was quite restricted in sort of a choice. So I suppose that's probably an important why I didn't like get a Range Rover or something like that, because I was being environmentally friendly. But yeah, just sort of looking pretty beastly, and obviously the sound system was non-negotiable.
Right. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question about how it drives.
Yes, really well.
Yes. Would you change anything about how it drives?
No, it's really good because obviously you've got the different mode.
Yeah.
So,
Do you use those?
yes.
What's your favourite mode?
Sexy mode.
Sexy, is that code for sport?
Yes.
Yes. So do you have it in sport mode all the time?
No, not all the time, because it
Right.
does seem to really want to just, it's not happy plodding in that mode at all, so it just feels a bit stressed if I'm sort of just pootling around the streets or whatnot.
Cool.
But other than that, I do have it in that. Yeah, so I think it's nice because you've got that choice where you can, being an automatic, you can't, it's harder to be.
Have you got paddles?
I have got paddles.
Yeah.
But you know, rather than wanting to do them all the time, you've got a mode where it's sort of got the kick and you can be off.
Cool. And one last question. Is there anything annoying about this car? Is there anything you'd change?
There actually isn't. There's nothing that
No?
annoys me with it, no.
Nothing. Okay, I lied then. That wasn't the last question. Why do you think these cars are so popular? Because you're not the only person who really likes them.
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay. Well, that's what I'm trying to answer with this video. So hopefully in the summary, I'll have an answer. Should we put it in sexy mode? Is it going to kick down?
No, you're doing six more now.
Am I?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So it hasn't kicked down. Right, so I'm trying out sexy mode now. Let's see what it does.
Yeah, you need to get some space.
Right, okay. So the first impressions whilst driving this is it's actually quite comfortable. I'm slightly surprised. Those big AMG alloys kind of, I don't know, I got the impression it might be a bit firmer than this, but it is actually really comfortable. There isn't an awful lot of space here, although I'll try and get a sort of better feel for the performance. The auto gearbox seems fairly seamless. I'm not going to try and pretend I know everything about cars, but to me this is feeling rather nice so far. So another reason that the third generation A Class was quite so popular, I think, is because it was available with a wide variety of engines. So you could have a low powered 1.5 diesel through to some middle of the road petrols and all the way up to a fairly bombastic 380 horsepower A45. Now the one we're in here is an A220 CDI, so that means it is a 2.1 litre diesel with around 170 brake horsepower. And that means it's fast enough. I'm not going to say it's rapid because on paper it isn't, but it is more than quick enough. You're happy with the performance, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm not going to talk too much about handling because it's only a short little test drive and it seems a little bit pointless. But the way this thing drives is more than adequate. From where I'm sat, it feels comfortable enough. You feel nicely isolated from the outside world, and I think for most buyers that's all that's going to matter. I'm sure that when you get to some twisty bits, it's not going to be quite as composed as a Golf GTI. As I say, does that really matter? What you've got here is a slightly more luxurious car, and I think, like I say, that's what the buyers are after. It drives a lot nicer than I was expecting. I don't know, to slag your car off, I don't know what I was expecting, but the gearbox is a lot smoother than I was expecting. The ride, like I say, feels a lot more compliant than I was expecting. I thought it'd be a bit crashy over the old bumps. Having spent some time with this third generation A Class, can I now see why they were so popular? Well, yes, I can. They're well built, good to look at, they're fairly luxurious, they drive well, and they're available in a variety of body sizes and with different engines to suit most people's needs. But above all else, these were a desirable car. That's in no small part down to the badge, but regardless, it's a desirable car and not much can beat it for that. So, with that being said, I've been Blee, thank you for watching and please subscribe.